Hi everyone, Confidence here, and welcome back to the Africoiner YouTube channel. I know it's been a while, but I'm back. And in this video, we are starting a new series on real-world assets, and we are looking at the impact and significance of real-world assets on blockchain. And in this video, I have a guest. His name is Manuel, the co-founder of Fathom Finance. We are going to delve into what Fathom is doing and its impact in the next coming years and in Africa. Enjoy this interview and remember to subscribe to the channel. Make sure you like and also you comment below. Thank you very much. Let's get into it. So it's great to have you here, Manuel. I understand you are in Dubai, right?
That's right. Thanks for having me, Confidence.
And how's Dubai today?
Dubai today is pretty good. It's still good weather. The hot weather is still not here yet. So we're enjoying it for as long as possible.
That's awesome. So welcome to the Africoiner podcast. And in this series, we are talking about real-world assets. And specifically focusing on real-world assets that are built on or using the XDC blockchain. So, do you care to introduce yourself? Who is Manuel? And a little bit of background about you.
Yeah, sure. So, Manuel Bransink, so I'm a co-founder of Fathom. Maybe a little bit of my professional background. So, I come originally from a traditional finance background. I used to work for Chase Manhattan Bank in London. Now it's called JP Morgan Chase. I worked at Deutsche Bank for a bit, and then I joined a JP Morgan spin-off called Riskmetrics Group, which is a risk analytics and data company, which was later acquired by which we first IPO'd and which was later acquired by MSCI. With MSCI, I moved from London to Dubai, where I still am, 14 years ago. And MSCI was also a capital markets analytics and data platform. And I was head of Middle East and North Africa there. Then I moved professionally into crypto in 2016. I worked for a family office trading crypto. I then joined a Swiss crypto exchange, like one of the pioneers in security tokens as well. And then I spent 5 years at Currency. Currency was a tokenization company focused on bringing real-world assets to the blockchain in a compliant fashion. And they were acquired by DTCC, which is like the one company in the US doing clearing for all securities. And when that happened in October of last year, I had the opportunity to spin out our labs business that we had set up within this currency and spin it out and take Fathom independent.
Wow. That's quite a rich experience that you have there, Manuel.
Thanks, Confidence.
It's quite interesting, like how a lot of people in the blockchain space have actually came from other backgrounds and actually started working in the blockchain space, which brings a lot of rich experience and the reason why the blockchain space is really growing at a very fast pace.
Yeah. You see a lot of guys from and girls, not that many, not enough, but more and more from traditional finance going into blockchain because we know like nobody else how traditional finance can benefit from blockchain as well.
I see. Understood. That's great. So I'll just jump into the first question on like acquiring assets or real-world assets pool creation. So how can users start acquiring real-world assets or tokens utilizing the Fathom protocol. I understand this is your project and engaging the reward asset sector, particularly. I know that this is something that is like worldwide, but we are in Africa here, so we need to understand like how we as Africans can really make use of this.
Yeah. Well, the use case for what we do is pretty much global, so that includes any continent, and that's of course the nature of the blockchain. It was built in the first instance to make global transfers possible for anybody with an internet access. So when to your question, how can you start acquiring real-world asset tokens? It's important to realize that Fathom in itself is not a token issuance platform. There are many of those. There's like well-known names like Securitize, for instance, Tokeny, that issuers go to put these assets on the blockchain. We are not one of them. We work with those guys, and then we take those assets as collateral into our what we call a liquidity protocol, and then we allow our users to borrow stablecoins against those. Now, having said that, that's the core functionality. We also have extensions to that, which includes a DEX. And right now, there aren't any real-world assets listed there, but that might be the case in the future. And this week we launched our Vault product, which is you can see as a kind of an automated on-chain asset manager. Users can commit their stablecoin. They invest, they lock their stablecoins for a certain period into the vault, and they get a yield back. And that yield is derived from certain strategies, and that can include real-world asset strategies. So you can even get exposure to real-world assets, for instance, a 15% yielding trade finance fund, without having to buy it directly or own it directly, which also makes it easier when it comes to things like KYC and all kinds of rules around these real-world assets, transferability restrictions, but you can still get this kind of exposure and you can derive economic benefit from it.
That's great. And can you also walk us through like the process of buying assets on the platform to acquire reward assets or creating pools on Fathom?
So the process is you need a MetaMask wallet. You need a MetaMask wallet that you have to set to the XDC blockchain, because we are built on XDC. You have to make sure that you're connected to the right nodes, RPC nodes. So for anybody familiar with MetaMask, that's pretty easy. For those who aren't, of course, there's many YouTube videos that show you how to do that. And with that, you will have your assets in your MetaMask, and this can be XDC tokens, for instance, or USDT, or whatever it is. And with that, you can then start either trading or investing or collateralizing.
I see. Yeah, so you actually spoke about XDC network. It's actually a network that I've personally known, but for our viewers, probably they might be interested to know about XDC. And probably, yes, you spoke about just going on YouTube and understanding what XDC is also. So what unique features do you think are on the XDC network that make it real or ideal for reward assets to be tokenized?
Yeah, a good question. I know you know the answers because you're a long time developer on XDC for the last 6 years, I believe. But I'll give you my perspective. One of the reasons why some of the reasons why we chose XDC as a network, really. First of all, our engineers are trained in Solidity smart contract language, and that's famous from Ethereum, and that's also what XDC uses. So it's totally EVM compatible using Solidity, so that's very easy. The difference lies really in the consensus mechanism. There is a more limited number of nodes, I think about 300 nodes or so, which makes the speed much faster, which makes finality much shorter, with minus 5 seconds or less than 5 seconds of finality. And of course the cost. Ethereum, has been a victim of its own success to deploy smart contracts on Ethereum, or indeed to engage with DeFi protocols is very expensive. So it's really speed and cost, and then we found a supporting community as well.
Well, that's amazing. That's amazing. And how does the network then ensure the integrity and security of reward assets transaction? Africa has a lot of challenges and, especially issues to do with security and this stuff. So in your own context, how does, XDC then ensures integrity, and security?
So the security of the protocol itself, of the XDC network, is guaranteed by these so-called validators, node holders. The difference is also that, and this is something that institutions really like, so they stake their XDC on the node, and they can get slashed. They can, these are kind of technical terms, but it's delegated proof of stake kind of consensus mechanism. And kind of a unique feature of XDC is that the masternodes themselves have been KYC'd, and that's very interesting for institutions, regulators worldwide, is that they can know who secures the network and who builds a block on the blockchain, so that, for instance, is not done by a party that has been sanctioned, for instance, validator based in North Korea or so.
Okay. That's interesting. And especially when you're working with institutions, they really want to know to whom their data is being, to what extent even the data is being stored, and with whom are the nodes operators. So you had something to say?
Maybe just add to that. So that's a good point. So there's also a difference between public blockchains and private blockchains. I'm a big proponent of public blockchains. It's like internet compared to intranet, for those who still remember intranet. But it's an unpermissioned, anybody can access blockchain versus a private network, right? So a lot of institutions are very happy working with public blockchains, but some, especially banks in the United States, have been told by the regulator, no, you cannot work with public blockchains. So you have to work with a private blockchain, and for that, XDC also has a solution. They have this thing called subnets, where all parties are known and it's permissioned. So it still allows banks to build on these to build on their particular use cases, whilst also having this public blockchain available for, especially for non-US banks and for global asset managers, for instance, and of course individuals.
Okay, that's amazing. So I'll get to also ask about XDC as a network. So speaking from your experience, here in Africa, we are looking to build more applications on the XDC, probably also train more developers and create more entrepreneurs to actually build on the XDC network. So what support does XDC network to those type of people, like developers, entrepreneurs who are building on the network?
Yeah. So XDC is quite active with sponsoring hackathons, for instance, and they do that often in conjunction with the Ethereum hackathons. So that's a good way to bring developers on board. I think what we as Fathom do to help the ecosystem is that we're providing this asset, this stable coin, which as a building block for many applications. So stable coins have been a huge success. One of so far the only really successful real world asset that has been tokenized, by the way. But with that stable coin, and as we build more liquidity, you can then start building all kinds of other financial functions, whatever they may be, insurance or lending or trading or investing, bringing real world assets on chain, having fiat on ramps and off ramps for those. So I think that's something that was missing, a decentralized stablecoin on XDC, and that is, I think, our contribution, and we're looking, of course, to greatly improve the liquidity of that, and have that stablecoin be the stablecoin of choice when it comes to trading pairs and other financial functions.
That's awesome. And in the African context, what do you see as the significance of your company Fathom in the African market, and what problem do you think Fathom's reward assets can solve in Africa? Not sure if you've done some research on the African market, and probably you might have seen a different case. What do you think could be the main problems that you could solve using Fathom?
Yeah, I think I think one problem that we address, which is very relevant for those in Africa, but really for individuals and small and medium enterprises anywhere. Especially small enterprises are underbanked globally, even in developed countries like United States and Europe. So when you have a small enterprise, you always need financing. You need to borrow, but banks will not lend you, right? So only if you have some very particular assets, if you hold a lot of real estate, for instance, or you have massive cash flows, will they lend you? And then they often overlend to those companies, but they will not lend to small enterprises. If you're an individual, the only way you can borrow from a bank any significant amount is if you own a house, if you own property, and then you can borrow against that. But if you hold different types of assets, and these could be an investment portfolio, for instance, or crypto, or anything. So the thing with blockchain is, though, it's not about giving credit. You have to provide collateral, and that collateral acts as a guarantee that the lender will get its money back. But with blockchain, you can really, in principle, accept any type of collateral, and you don't need a bank account, and you can address a global market for your financing need or your investing need, not just your local bank. So there's a much wider pool of capital, much wider distribution channel also for the institutions themselves using blockchain. So these are important use cases.
I understand. So for the African market, or maybe world over, just like you said, which exchanges currently can you find the FXD tokens or something like that?
So there's a couple of ways to gain access to our stablecoin, and the stablecoin in itself, of course, I think is a good use case for many Africans, in that it is US dollar backed. I don't know if I'd mentioned that yet. So it acts as a good, international store of value and cross-border and even intra-border exchange mechanism that can be relevant for those with weaker economies or with currencies that experience high inflation. So I think that's important. And back to your question was, and now it's slipped from my mind.
Oh yeah, which exchanges which exchanges? Like someone from Africa access the tokens.
And the way to acquire FXD. So
yes.
So you can do it directly through Fathom.
Okay.
The FXD stablecoin is available on our DEX. You can buy it on our
Okay.
DEX. There's another DEX on XDC which is called XSwap. It's available there as well.
Okay.
And then there is at the moment, one centralized exchange. It is quite a new project, Fathom. So far, one listing, which is Bitrue, Bitrue, where FXD is available. We have also signed an agreement with a Singapore-based custodian called Propine Technologies, and they also support FXD, and they provide on-ramp and off-ramp for FXD. And then, of course, the best way, if you for those with XDC tokens in particular, or those who consider buying XDC tokens, is that you can deposit your XDC and mint your own FXD on the protocol. So you deposit XDC, and then you can borrow, for instance, half of the value amount in stablecoin,
Okay.
and later pay that back and get your XDC back.
Oh, that's amazing. So are there other tokens that I can also deposit besides XTC?
Yeah, we're actually curating that. So
Okay.
normally for liquidity protocols like that first of all, we start with the protocol tokens. In this case, it's XDC. Secondly, we need real world assets to scale that up. So typically, you look at something that is most akin to money, which is, for instance, especially U.S. Treasury funds. They're most akin to the U.S. dollar as a financial instrument.
Okay.
So we're looking to use treasuries as collateral. We're looking to use gold as collateral. There is a gold token on XDC called Comtech Gold, CGO, and that also makes for a very good collateral type. But you cannot come with just any crypto and borrow FXD against that. So
Understood. So let's just...
That's step by step.
I see. Understood. So let's just talk about the future. So what offerings should we look out for from Fathom in the next coming years, or probably within the next coming year?
Yeah. So we have the stablecoin protocol available. We have the DEX available. We launched the vault this week. We're starting with one vault where you can deposit FXD and then just earn a yield on it. Like you can deposit it for 3 months and then earn a yield on it. That yield will vary. It will be higher in the beginning and it will go down as more people come and deposit FXD. But that's an interesting one. The vaults, actually, it allows also for the vault, you can see as an automated asset manager, and within the vault you can have different strategies. So you can actually build index products, so-called direct index products with it. So it's, I think, something that would be very interesting to financial institutions and asset managers to build their own index products, investable index products on our platform.
Okay.
And then in April, we're coming out with a lending platform. So then you can come with any kind of XDC-based supply asset. Could be XDC, or could be the XSwap token, or it could be FXD, and then borrow another token against that. And that could be FXD. Typically, people would borrow a stablecoin, but it could also be another token. And then apart from that, we're looking to also launch our own Oracle product, and that Oracle product will be powered by FXD, the stablecoin itself, which again is good for institutions, and that they can that the cost of using oracles, which is basically getting market data to off-chain market data to the blockchain, that cost will be denominated in a stable coin, which is stable and it's not volatile, and so it's much more predictable cost for these financial institutions. We think that will be very interesting product. And then we are looking at other things like developing a stable swap, which will allow for very efficient, capital efficient, cheap trading of stables. So that would be FXD against USDT, for instance, or it could be like staked XDC against XDC, or it could be FXD against URS, the euros, things like that. So yeah, but these things will. We're also working on a few XDC infrastructure products, but yeah, these are the main items for the next 6 months.
That's amazing. So, like, I understand, like, the blockchain technology has been in existence for a few years now, and we are starting to see some real use cases and some of the things that we can really use the blockchain technology for. What is what do you foresee in the next probably decade? Like, what do you think blockchain would be in the next coming decade or also?
Yeah, exactly. And I think you touched on it. So I think blockchain, it's just a set of rails. It's kind of a file format. It is a very efficient global set of rails to start building out this Internet of Value globally. And with that, we are not looking to replace financial institutions per se. We're definitely looking to replace frictions that exist, for instance, in cross-border trade. Also to the benefit of financial institutions. Where at the moment you have like 5 intermediaries, maybe you only need one. But I think, so as you mentioned, so it's bringing the real world to blockchain and bringing blockchain to the real world. So let's connect those two and make sure that blockchain actually has impact away from crypto bros like maybe like you and me, to small enterprises that need loans, individuals that need loans, savers that need a real yield, people who want to transfer money from one country to another, not having to lose 10% of the value, but have it done at the cost of maybe $1 or cents, and have the money transferred within minutes instead of days. And that also goes for enterprises trading cross chains that can take weeks sometimes, and involve like up to 6 banks to make a transfer from one exporter to an importer, for instance. And so just to make that more efficient, solve problems for people in the real world is, I think, the future of blockchain. And it's not just as we see now, everybody buying Bitcoin or meme coins and making the early crypto guys rich. No, I'm not in the space for that. Space to
Same here.
Real impact.
Yeah, same here. I really hope, like Ian, for that day, like when this technology really helps out people who really need it, and I can't really wait to see that future. Here in Africa, we've got countries like Nigeria, where there has been some trending news about the Nigerian government, banning Binance, and some executives from the company got into trouble. So how is Fathom navigating those areas to do with compliance and regulation within this African continent? And there is different jurisdictions, and they will have their own different regulation and compliance issues. So how are you guys dealing with that?
Yeah, very good question. So typically regulators globally, in Africa and everywhere else, it's kind of the same. They focus on where crypto touches the banking system.
I see.
Where does it do that? It does it where you have on-ramps and off-ramps. So these can be centralized exchanges. These can be broker dealers. The way to bring fiat money or other real-world assets onto blockchain, at those points you need regulation. Trying to regulate the ocean in between is pointless. And so we are really on that side. So USDT is in trouble with quite a few regulators, and I think the Americans will put the real pressures on them as well. I mean, they've done amazing things for crypto, but the problem is, nobody really knows what it's backed by and if it's over collateralized or not. It's one of the, I don't know how many billions of USDT are outstanding, and it's run by a company of, maybe 20 people that are not accountable to anybody, and that also could just one day run away with the money. So that's not a good model. So I think USDT and even USDC, which is, of course, USDC is trying to become, is trying to do everything they can to be in a good light with their regulator. But the problem is their regulator is the SEC in the US is extremely hostile to crypto in general at the moment.
It is.
So that's another problem. So for that reason, many people actually prefer USDT. I think that maybe the regulators will really put the kibosh on USDT, and then as that is done, maybe some American bank will buy USDC. But in general, I think commercial banks will start issuing stablecoins themselves. So that's different from CBDC, central bank stablecoins. I think, which I'm very skeptical of and not a fan of. But I think commercial bank stablecoins are coming. We already saw that in Europe. A French bank called SocGen issued one, a euro stablecoin, which is now available in decentralized wallets and on exchanges. So I think that's one thing. So you will have this systemic risk type of stablecoin that will be regulated, and that as regulation comes and clarity comes, commercial banks will start issuing. Then in the middle you have USDT, maybe USDC, and then on the other side you have decentralized stablecoins that are really the byproduct of a liquidity protocol, such as MakerDAO or Fathom, that have a role to play because they provide liquidity solutions to those that looking for liquidity. And these decentralized stablecoins, I think they are deemed by regulators, at least at the moment, as non-systemic, and therefore are not regulated. They're really crypto in another form, and they are largely seen as utility tokens.
Okay, that's interesting, and it's one of them. I think the biggest headaches that the industry is having right now, regulation. But we hope that's So the African market. Do you have any users from the African market, and how has it been received? If you have, or maybe it's still a territory where you're looking forward to actually start working on.
We generally we don't know who our users are, right? So we can track wallet addresses on the block explorer, but it's an unpermissioned protocol. So anybody with an internet access and the MetaMask wallet can access the protocol. When it comes to an important user base for us is institutions, because they have large collateral pools that they could look to liquefy. We are currently not working with any African institutions. We would be very happy to do so. Those with assets that can be tokenized or that are already tokenized, and are looking to borrow stablecoins against that, we'd be very happy to speak to those institutions. The next collateral type, that real world asset collateral type that we're looking to bring on chain, is actually the aforementioned masternodes that secure the XDC blockchain. These masternodes are servers with XDC tokens on it. You could see it as a real world asset, still pretty digitally native, but we're looking to tokenize those, have a full workflow for that, have a legal entity in between the masternode holder and the protocol, and then bring that asset on chain. That will be the proof of the pudding, and after that we'll be looking to take on treasuries, gold, and other asset types. And we don't care where in the world it comes from, as long as it's a high quality collateral and there is a reliable price feed we can get for that collateral.
Oh, that's interesting. So, if you are an organization or you're an individual, you're looking forward to tokenize some assets, make sure you reach out to Manuel or reach out to Fathom so that you can get started, because this is the future of how things are going to be. So, how do you see the role, Manuel, of decentralized finance platforms evolving with the integration of real-world assets, and what opportunities does this present to for investors actually and businesses in Africa?
I think as I mentioned before, the only really successful asset tokenization has been currencies, and especially not even currencies. It's only been the US dollar currency. So I think the next step will be that other currencies will come to the blockchain, so euros and maybe Swiss franc. But really, any country that has a strong currency and is looking to take some market share on chain as well, right? And to create more use cases for their currency, more utility for their currency. They should consider they should consider allowing their commercial banks to put stable coins on blockchain. We see it in countries like the UK. They're quite supportive of that. We see it in the countries like the UAE, where I'm based, where I think we can expect commercial bank national currency, the dirham, to come on chain. And there is nothing, I think, that should keep African countries to do the same, especially if you're worried about dollarization. Why not take some market share away from the US dollar and have your own currencies appear on chain? So I think that'll be interesting. And then the same for, I think, the next asset type, US Treasury is very popular. We'll move to other bond types on XDC. There's a big push for trade finance, bond-like instruments or funds. And so, I think it will be more bonds, more fixed income-like, credit-like instruments coming to the blockchain. And I think that'll be the evolution of real-world assets coming on chain. Because in the end, as I said, it's just a different file format, a different database behind it. And everything is already digital, right? So it's just making these things much more efficient than they have been up to date, up to the provenance of blockchain and smart contracts.
Wow, that's great, Manuel. And like you are a fountain of knowledge, and you have a really great understanding of how these things should work. And I hope this has been really insightful for somebody who's listening, somebody who's in Africa and wherever in the world. And it will be really helpful for somebody to understand and gain more insights about real-world assets and what you as Fathom are building. So any last words of encouragement, or maybe anything you would want to share with us?
First of all, thank you so much, Confidence, for making the time. And you or your listeners, if you're ever in Dubai, we're lucky to have lots of Africans here in Dubai. It's very cosmopolitan. It's quite a hub, actually, a travel hub also for Africa. And you will meet for a coffee or just generally you have questions about Fathom, then you can find me on Twitter. Fathom, the protocol itself, is also on Twitter. Or you can just email me at manuel@fathom.fi, and I'd be happy to engage with any of your listeners and hope to meet you in person.
Definitely. Thank you very much. And it's just great that we had this conversation. I'm in Zimbabwe and you are in Dubai. And I look forward for the rest, for the last part of the year to visit Dubai. And obviously,
Excellent.
I'll come and understand more work of, and probably we can have another episode and talk about what you guys are doing and also catch up on what will be new on Fathom. But it has been really great speaking to you, Manuel. And I'm really excited to see what you guys can do in the upcoming year and the next 10 years to come. We really also look forward to this technology changing also the markets in Africa here and like really bring impact, like what you said. You are really a fan of like seeing impact of the blockchain technology within this world. And yeah, I'm really thankful. Thank you for taking your time. I hope to see you in Dubai, and goodbye.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Confidence. Take care.
Cheers.